Okay, prepare to be enraged due to injustice. University boosts female enrollment in male-oriented subjects after lowering the bar. That's right. They're going to lower the requirements to get into engineering, to flood it with unworthy women. And remember, the motivation isn't to give women free stuff. It is to take stuff away from men. There's only so many seats in any classroom. So for every unworthy woman that gets in there, they oust a worthy man. That's the goal of this. Sydney University has significantly boosted the share of women in engineering and other male-oriented courses. I say oriented because they use the word dominated as if the men elbowed their way in and keep all the women out. No, they're male-oriented courses. Men are attracted to these and women aren't. 3 years after instituting an unjust program to lower entry scores for female school leavers. Almost 500 engineering, IT, and construction students at the University of Sydney have been granted 10 extra points since 2020, when the institution lowered the bar for females to plan a boost to the number of women in the field. As you guys know, anything that has a majority of women does not get this treatment. So this is strictly to take away men. And would you guys like to live in a housing complex that was constructed by one of these third-rate engineers? No, I wouldn't. Okay. Figures obtained by the Herald show that across all 20 courses that offer the extra points to women, there was a 109% increase in female enrollments in that time. So twice as many. So in other words, half the women don't belong there. They don't deserve to be there. They don't come up to standards. And that's ousting all those male students that are worthy of being there. They don't get to be there, right? Now, they go more about the stats, but here's an important one. Engineering students Amelia and Gohar said they supported the adjustment scheme. Of course, they support injustice against men, but had reinforced already deeply embedded prejudice that women face in the classroom and workplace. These women don't face prejudice. They face being stacked up against the man, and they almost always are left wanting. That's what it is. And of course, it's only going to make worse because they're letting in women who are even less qualified. It is a great initiative, and I'm very for it, of course. But it's encouraging a lot of those biases where women are iced out of classrooms because, oh, you only got in because you're a girl. Gohar, 109% increase since they lowered the bar. So half the female students did only get there because they're a girl. They said so, period. We have to prove ourselves on a different level before we're even considered a proper engineer. Wrong. That's a lie. You have to prove yourself on the same level as the men to be considered a proper engineer. And the reason why you have to is because usually you don't. I've had people say, oh, wow, you're actually smart after completing a task despite working with them for 6 months. Yeah. Women that are up to snuff, up to grade, are rare. And now they're even more rare. The other student said something that started happening when the program was started is that people were saying it will make it harder to defend yourselves in class. There's no reason, there's nothing for you to defend yourself from. If you're worthy, if you're up to par, there's nothing to defend. So this woman obviously isn't up to par. But my biggest issue was that I was already having to do that well before the scheme. So shouldn't it still be offered? She was still doing it, in other words, she was subpar. And she's using her inaptitude as an excuse for this injustice against men. Right. Now, inch by inch, look at this. It's not just that the women are slowly coming up, but the men are slowly going down. This is what they want. This isn't what they don't care about. They don't actually care about having more women. They care about having fewer men. They want to ruin men's education. They want to make sure there's fewer educated men. And from these women, by the way, who will quit their jobs and look for a high status man to leech off of. That is the last slap in the face, right? Now, look at this. The main reasons women said they didn't study engineering included a lack of awareness of what it involved. So, one, they weren't interested, and two, they didn't realize how much work was involved. That's what they really say. Two, a perception that it was a male-oriented industry. In other words, women don't like men. They don't want to be around men. And that is the first thing in their mind, not the work themselves. Women do not have to work for a living. They don't have to prioritize it. And so they're getting into an industry that they're really not even that interested in. And the third one, a poor engagement with STEM subjects through school. Now, whose fault is that? These women lack the interest and aptitude for STEM subjects. And so if that's the case, these women don't belong there. Can you imagine? One of the things that's stopping women from getting into engineering is that they suck at engineering. Wow, who would have thought it? Now, Associate Dean Ann Gardner, feminist woman, said she was pleased with the initial results of the program, but acknowledged more needed to be done at both the university and industry level. Oh my God. So she wants men kept out of university, and she wants them to lose their jobs, to be replaced by these inept female engineers. I shouldn't even call them engineers. Now, look at this bullshit. There's still some social cultural issues. This is bold-faced lie. Why? Because we still have female students telling us that their careers advisors at their schools has told them that engineering is not something that they should be thinking about. You know why? Because these advisors looked at their math and science scores, the subjects that they need to become an engineer, and finding that they blow at them. They're no good at them. So they're looking and say, hey, you're no good at science or math, and that's what's required to become an engineer. So I'm not going to advise you to go into engineering. So that's not social or cultural. That's just women being inept at what they need to do. That's women failing. Gardner said there was only, okay, I don't want to leave that horseshit. Let's see. Now look at this. Another woman, Australian Academy Chief Executive Kylie Walker, said changing the culture in the industry has to be more inclusive of women. That means get rid of the men. That's what it means. Women don't like men. They want the men gone. And addressing the STEM gender pay, okay, the male engineers work overtime. The female engineers don't. They don't have to. It was arguably the largest barrier to improving women's participation in the workforce. No, the barrier, there is no barrier to women participating in the workforce. They just don't have to. These women don't have to work in the workforce. There is no barrier. They just don't want to. Now, here's the biggest insult, but the bigger problem is not getting them into the undergraduate degrees, but keeping them in the profession. And that is the harder challenge to tackle. It's not a challenge, it's an impossibility. Is this woman, Kylie Walker, going to go to these women and say, don't quit your job? Don't get married and quit your job because you don't have to work for a living? No, she's probably going to quit her job whenever she feels like it herself. So these women were never interested. Women are not interested in careers. Careers is just a brag for them, on their resume to say, yeah, I'm a career woman. But in the end, everyone knows these women, when they get tired of working in the 40s, 50s at the latest, they just quit their jobs and they find a man to leech off of. So to break this down, or I should say, to put this in a nutshell, you've got these lazy, stupid, inept women taking up spaces that are deserved by men. And they're not interested. They lack the brain power. They lack the ambition and drive. And they lack the incentive because, like I said, they don't have to work for a living, not really. And they end up what? Quitting their jobs, careers, maybe 20 years down the road tops, and finding some husband. And the men have to suffer because of these hate mongers in the university levels. It's a complete slap in the face to the male gender. I really wish men would start fighting back. I honestly do. Anyway, we'll stop it here.